maybe get flexed out still, depending. There's time,
it could, unless
there's
they're
time
both
for that.
They're both they both could be vying for some playoff spots, but watch out for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like there's still an opportunity for the Cowboys led by Cooper Rush. Do you think there's any way? Look, when Dak Prescott won the job from Tony Romo, they moved on from Tony Romo and ended up retiring, right? Do you think there's something mulling in the back of Jerry Jones's mind of, hey, we're winning these games, not against very great NFL teams, good NFL teams. Do you think that there's a world after the huge contract that they just gave to Dak Prescott where they could try to move off of him? Do you think another NFL team would take a chance on that contract and Dak Prescott?
The contract thing is what's menacing. I don't know if anybody necessarily wants to put their hands on that unless, somehow or another Dallas agrees to, like in the Bellinger thing, give some money back up or something like that, which could be a possibility down the road. It's kind of interesting because, Mike McCarthy, he's lame duck. He doesn't have a deal for next year yet, so you don't know who the head coach is going to be yet. So that kind of makes it kind of hard to decide what you're going to do with Dak, or if you want to move off of him, because the next coach coming in is going to maybe want to have something to say about that. Does he want to bring in his own guy? Does he think he can do something with Dak? Maybe get more out of him than the last couple guys have. So it's kind of interesting. I would think, with the money already being spent, it'd be kind of hard to move them unless somebody just really coveted them, and I just don't see it. I don't think you're going to get a good enough return on investment. Yeah,
I don't think that we'll see it either. I think that it would be interesting. It would be a blow. I would say a blow to not the pocketbook of Dak Prescott, but a low blow to the ego if Cooper Rush ends up replacing you as the future quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, or do they get rid of Dak Prescott and maybe try to hop up in the draft a little bit to the number 1 overall pick and end up taking Shadur Sanders? That's neither here. Well, that is yet to be seen, rather. So we'll find out a little bit more as we get closer to April in the 2025 NFL Draft. We've got a couple of issues in the coaching carousel world, not necessarily coaching carousel, but the world of coaching in college football. And then we'll also dive into some NFL overreactions when we get back, unless we get a call from Max Delighten for your Minute with Max. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. Keep it locked in for our overreactions.
This just in.
Get the latest sports news, scores, and updates from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Follow us on Facebook for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes action, live streams, and the chance to interact with your favorite hosts.
Stay connected. Stay connected. Stay connected.
Join the conversation on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Search for ESPN Northwest Florida and crush the follow button.
I follow you on social media.
We're always here to keep you in the game.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. The remainder of the day, partly cloudy skies and 74 with a very light wind. Tonight, a variety of slight fog and some clouds with lows around 64. Tomorrow, variety of some clouds and slight fog and a temperature near 71. Moving into Thursday, at the same with a high of 67 and slightly foggy in the early morning and then mostly sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Oh, the colors of Christmas. Reds, greens, blues, and golds. Makes me think of the beautiful selection of color gemstone jewelry we have at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. And they're all on sale at 60% off. Rubies, emeralds, sapphires, blue topaz, tanzanites, and many more. On sale now through Christmas at 60% off at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Have the perfect colors of Christmas under your tree this year and shop where Santa shops at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
East 15th Street, Panama City.
Are payment processing fees eating into your profits? With Bay County POS, local businesses are saving time and money with secure, seamless merchant services. Reduce credit card processing fees and save up to 3.9% on gross sales. From quick, contactless payments to detailed sales reporting, it's Bay County POS. For a free consultation, call 850-359-3906. Bay County POS. Local service, global standards.
They're number 1. In the men's room.
I hope this place comes with toilet paper.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, geez, this is going to be a photo finish.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back in the doghouse. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Your spot for select Orlando Magic games. We'll be taking a little bit of a hiatus from Magic games or any type of basketball games, really, as we're right here in the middle of college football bowl season. And that we're going to get you to some action for that tonight at 8 p.m. In the Frisco Bowl between Memphis and West Virginia. Who would you pick if you were? Are you in a bowl pick'em of any sort?
Not right now.
I didn't set one up for the radio station this year, but I am in a bowl pick'em with a little bit of dinero on the line. But I'm stuck in between this one. My initial reaction was with Memphis as it stands today. I know that Neil Brown's out over there at West Virginia. Rich Rod's going to be heading in. I'm not entirely sure, actually. Is Neil Brown coaching the game tonight for West Virginia? But I'm going to take West Virginia tonight. I think that's the way that I'm going to roll. Memphis has had a pretty good season. Obviously, they're ranked there at number 25 in the college football playoff rankings. But West Virginia 6-6. I probably hope that they wish that they had a better year. They fought tough with Penn State earlier on in the year. I'm going to stick with the 6-6 team, though, the barely bowl eligible team, the BBE.
That's who I think I would go with, West Virginia.
Hey, there you go.
Fighting Pat McAfee's.
The Fighting Pat McAfee's. There you go. So Neil Brown's looking like he might be, it looks like Wake Forest might be interested in him. So we'll see what ends up happening with Neil Brown. He was the head coach over there at Troy from 2015 to 2018, and then at West Virginia from 2019 to 2024. And Rich Rodriguez, man, it feels like it's 2007 all over again, or maybe earlier than that, 2003 to 2007, I believe. Rich Rod was over there. Maybe he can get him a quarterback like Pat White and make NCAA or EA Sports College Football 26 one of the greatest college football games, because a lot of people were running with Pat White back in those days. Also, out of Florida State, Mike Norvell has agreed to give $4.5 million of his $10.1 million salary. $4.5 million. That's about $500,000 a loss from last year. I'm joking. I don't think that math is mathing right there. But anyways, half of his salary essentially to fundraising. So that'll be, for the Florida State football program. Obviously he didn't have the greatest year last year, but it's one of those, look, I think it's one of those situations where Norvell goes to the boosters, to the Florida State fans, is showing, hey, that was not us last year. That was a one-off. We got off track. We got severely off track. But in order to show you guys how serious I am, forget all of the money aspects, but just to show you how serious I am, I'll take half of my salary and put it into the Florida State football program so that we can use that to get back to where we need to be. Not only where we need to be, but where we expect to be.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, I guess, as long as it works out for you, right? I mean, if they win and he has success, I can see him getting it on the back end, getting another deal. They'll pay him back, and kind of reward him for, him taking one for the team, for lack of a better term. But, man, if you fail, though, and you give up that money, that's going to hurt twice as bad.
I pray for Florida State fans and for college football in general that does not.
Would you happen to know, right off the rip, what his buyout is?
No, I can look that up, but
maybe that's the reason why. I mean, if you got a decent buyout, then if you lose a little bit there, it's kind of like, hey, whatever. And in Florida, hey, no state tax here, so you're saving a little bit of money already.
Well, and we got two, so it looks like he would get $875,000 a month all the way through December 3rd. $875,000 a month through December 31st of 2031.
Pretty good. That's not bad.
Pretty
head coaching. This is like
it's $64,132,500.
The one job on the planet that I can think of that you're totally getting hired based off of potential, and sometimes like you get people that get hired that have no background at all. Like where else do you get a job, right? In this country or like anywhere where you have no experience really, because that does happen sometimes. A lot of times you do, okay? A lot of times you got some experience,
right?
But or like moving on up from like a smaller directional school to like a big program or what have you, you're getting paid off of potential, and then even if you fall flat on your face, it's all guaranteed, and you still live like a fat rat,
Yeah.
pretty nice situation to be in.
Well, we got 2 texts right as soon as I was bringing up that story. Boston Tim saying he's giving away that much money because that way he won't have to pay taxes. And at the same time, Cleveland Brad says tax write-off. So not only, hey, you're giving up $4.5 million to your football school there, but you're also getting the tax write-off of it as well. So
what was the question last night? You do a little day trading?
Yeah, you do a little day trading. That was a good time. Again, Boston Tim, if you didn't hear us earlier, we were just shouting you out for the good time yesterday evening. All right. Also, Brian Kelly, he did, what did he do? Last week offered to match up to $1 million in NIL donations, so he'll match it. So if y'all get up to $1 million, I'll match up to $1 million there. So these head coaches are coming up with creative ways, if you will, on trying to get the most bang for their buck, as it's becoming ever so clear that you have to compete very heavily, not just in the transfer portal, but they get into the transfer portal to see where they can get their best deal, and that's the only way that you can get your players and compete with some of the top schools across the country, which is a bad look for college football, but it's an is what it is situation. You're going to have to do what you have to do if you expect to be one of the 12 teams at the end of the college football season.
I'm wondering if we're going to see any of these other like universities and institutions out there that have a lot of backing in other ways actually maybe funnel some funds so that they can improve their football teams, because ultimately we know, okay, football is like the biggest thing in this country, right?
Yeah.
And if you have football for your school and you have a name for yourself, you got kind of a brand, you can bring in a lot of attention that you might not normally get, or that you can even pay for, like on your own, like through the media, through sports networks like ESPN and Fox and whatever. So take a school that's not too far from here, like UAB up in Birmingham, right? Medical school, got lots of, like real famous people, got lots of money because of all the money that you can make off the medical side of it, right? Research and all that kind of stuff with grants and what have you. They got a football team. They didn't have it for like a year, right? And they got, Trent Dilfer as their head coach. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, use them for an example. Smaller school, maybe call them a directional school, what have you, however you want to describe them. But it's got a lot of money, man. Like Dr. James Andrews, right? The dude that does all the ligament work on knees for guys like Tom Brady and stuff. That dude's based down there. Big, like a professional dude, big name.
I believe Trent Dilfer is the head coach over there at UAB
Dilfer
as well.
Definitely is, yeah. I just mentioned that a few moments ago.
Oh, sorry.
That's cool. And so what about money that they might be getting, and trying to get better players and build up the program? And I'm waiting to see if something like that's going to come down the pipe here down the road, like in the next handful of years, where you're going to see some other schools like that maybe trying to make that push.
Yeah, no, it will be interesting to see, but even if you've got those big time donors, those others, the bigger schools have those big time donors, and they've got a bevy of other interested parties as well. So it's like, okay, well, if you all start getting to close to this level, then we'll just take it to another maximum, and then y'all are going to have to find someone else. We'll see how it plays out. I think it would be interesting, but then again, there's only one small school that's going to be getting in majority of the time. Maybe one of the years that we have. I don't think while we have a 12-team playoff that more than one G5 school gets into the college football playoff. And I think we've got one more year before they up it up to 14. I think they're going to start that in 2026. How long do we stay at 14 before we're up to 16, before we're up to 24? I think when you get into the realm of 24, you could be talking about multiple G5 schools, and then that opens up more opportunities for them. But, one of the biggest things I think a lot of us are going to be watching, Boise State was good enough this year, record-wise, the way that the rankings played out, to get that first round bye. I think that's what a lot of us are going to be looking at, is what does SMU do against Penn State? What does Indiana do against Notre Dame? If we get one upset out of that first round, beautiful.
Yeah.
But
that's what you want.
Right. Absolutely. Boise State, though, will they be able to hang tough? We've already seen them hang tough against Oregon. Will they be able to do that again against a much more powerful opponent than what they're used to playing week in and week out in their schedule?
It's still early, though, too. We got to give this a little time. Some of these schools,
gotta let the cake bake.
Yeah, you gotta get to the dance or get to the party once or twice before you kind of start feeling comfortable. So I mean, Boise, they could have been there 20 years ago. Well, 15, 18, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, they were like, the talk of why aren't they, a top 2 team playing for the, national championship.
Is it time for Boise State to think about getting into one of the, are they a team that should be out of the Mountain West and into the Big 12 or into the ACC?
A good analogy for them, and I guess maybe because it's out west too, like a Gonzaga. Like this mid-major school that kind of came from nowhere, like about 20 years ago when Gonzaga kind of started coming to prominence and started making some noise. And now they're like a team that when you start talking college basketball and you start talking about teams that are going to be playing in March, their name comes up. The only thing that comes up about them is they really can't win it all. They can get close, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.
So, but they're still there, right? And they're still talked about being there in the end. So, why can't a Boise State or why can't another kind of a school like that, usurp some of these other schools and kind of get to that point?
Ooh, good word, usurp. Chef Ross says, heck, if my surgery goes well, I'll match up to $10 for UAB NIL money, which his surgery will be pretty soon.
I owe them.
You owe them?
They did my neck surgery. I had the same neck surgery as Peyton Manning, same neck fusion surgery.
Right.
And had mine done up there, and great surgeons up there, great work they do. And hey, I owe them, I'll pay them, what I'm saying? Like, if it wasn't for them, I might be paralyzed today, I mean, seriously. So, UAB, good school.
Hey, thoughts and prayers also with Chef Ross, as he is going to be having his surgery early in the month of January, early in the year of 2025. Chef Ross also says, I agree, as long as the upset isn't Tennessee beating Ohio State, that won't move the needle. No, and I don't know how much the needle moves necessarily with Clemson and Texas, but I think that that's a very interesting game. Not only are you going to have a clash of orange again, but you've got Clemson sitting there with Cade Klubnik and skating, escaping into the playoff by the skin of their teeth on a 56-yard field goal to take down SMU in the ACC championship game. But you've got Texas, who has been undefeated outside of 2 losses to the same team in the Georgia Bulldogs, but they really haven't looked as impressive as maybe what they did last year. But that was one of the things too that I said last year. When you look at the downstretch of their season in the Big 12, there was they weren't putting it on people as much as they were in the early part of the year. Same thing kind of happened this year, but the difference is it wasn't the offense that really separated Texas from the rest of the SEC outside of the schedule that they benefited from, their SEC schedule, but their defense was the strong part. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Cade Klubnik and the offense for the Clemson Tigers face off against the defense of the Texas Longhorns. And then also, how does Quinn Ewers play in that game, which could be his final collegiate game, or it could be his final collegiate game with the Texas Longhorns, depending on what he ends up deciding to do after this college football season. So I don't know how big of an upset. I know that when we talk about the spreads of Texas and Clemson, which I believe is like an 11-point spread, and a lot of people are not giving Clemson any type of a shot in this game, but how much will it move the needle as far as upsets go? I don't think nowhere near as much as what SMU taking down Penn State, or as Boise State in the second round taking care of business, or even Indiana Notre Dame, which I don't know how Indiana fans feel about that being necessarily an upset outside of looking at the numbers. But the reality is, yes, they're 11-1, and Notre Dame's lone loss is to a terrible opponent. Indiana,
right?
Northern Illinois, and but at the end of the day, Notre Dame turned it around. We saw Indiana against a top tier school, if you will, in Ohio State, and they did not look that good. They were oversized, or they were undersized compared to Ohio State, and they didn't have the depth to what Ohio State did. And so when you're playing in a 60-minute ball game and you're not able to kind of compete down the stretch, that's going to affect you. That's one of the things that Lane Kiffin's been dealing with at Ole Miss for the last couple of years. Finally fixed that this year to a large extent, but still, in the same kind of position as Kalen DeBoer in Alabama, ending up with 3 losses and kind of kicking yourself out of the playoff at that point in time. And a sad Sad situation, I think, for, if you're Kalen DeBoer in Alabama, first-year woes, all of that good stuff. I mean, you hate the loss to Vanderbilt. You absolutely can't stand the loss if you're an Alabama fan to Oklahoma because it was a 21-point loss. But if you're Lane Kiffin and the hype and the expectations that have started to get there since his time with Ole Miss, it hurts a little bit more because you're losing a lot, not just to the transfer portal. I don't know what they've lost to the transfer portal yet, but you're losing a lot to the NFL.
I think Indiana's catching a break playing Notre Dame, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When you think about it, what's Notre Dame's one hang-up they've had, like, for their whole entire existence?
Being terrible in postseason in the playoffs.
No, academics. They're like
the hang up of why they
can't get all the talent they would normally want to get because of the way their grading goes and the way the standards that they keep, right? So Indiana, like how you were saying, was a little undersized against Ohio State, not as much depth, yada yada yada, right? Well, that's the best probably opportunity you have is going against a school that probably can't get quite all the talent that maybe it's looking for on a regular basis.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
So Indiana, like I said, that's probably like one of its best matchups or, scenarios for them, going into this playoff. So if I was an Indiana fan, I think I'd be kind of happy about that.
Michigan State Bruce says, who did Notre Dame play? Well, they played Texas A&M and they got the win there by 10 points. Then they go to Northern Illinois, not go, but they lose at the house, paid a pretty penny to lose that game. Then they respond with a thrashing of Purdue, but really who didn't thrash Purdue this year? Really outside of that, you got a game against Louisville, Georgia Tech. We saw them take Georgia to the wire. They started the downfall of Florida State this year. They beat Georgia Tech 31-13. That was in Georgia Tech. They've done exactly what you expect them to do. If anyone was, parading for Army to get into the college football playoff, they beat them 49-14. They did what you like to see if in a rivalry game, Notre Dame and USC, right? USC was kind of putting it to them a little bit. Notre Dame, they're fighting back and forth. Yes, USC, terrible football team, really has been since Lincoln Riley has taken over there. But then when USC was starting to inch closer to getting the upset, Notre Dame fights back and seals the deal there. So that one's going to be a really tough game for me. I'm absolutely rooting for Indiana, but I just think that Notre Dame's firepower is going to be a little bit too much, and it's time for us to fire off here. When we get back, we're going to have Banji Bomadella. He is the sports reporter for the Panama City News Herald. We're going to be going over boys and girls basketball and boys and girls soccer. Don't miss Banji up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Nicole Auerbach has a piece about how we have a seeding problem.
It's not even just that it's confusing. It's that it's not fair to the number one overall team. You're not supposed to be dealing with the most challenging possible path to a national champion if you have earned the number one overall seed.
Paul Feinbaum, weeknights, 6 to 10 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. The remainder of the day, partly cloudy skies and 74 with a very light wind. Tonight, a variety of slight fog and some clouds with lows around 64. Tomorrow, variety of some clouds and slight fog and a temperature near 71. Moving into Thursday, the same with a high of 67 and slightly foggy in the early morning and then mostly sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Hello, this is Rick Vosser with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin, We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
Pound the like and crush the subscribe. Follow us on social media for the latest sports news, scores, and updates. Keeping you in the game. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we're back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs here in the Doghouse. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick. And we are your home for the Coach James Hale Morning Show. You can listen to them right here weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. A great cast of gentlemen. And they talk a lot of high school sports and college football, primarily in the SEC. But they will talk about any and everything dealing with college football and high school sports. That's your best place to go to hear from the coaches across the board. In all high school athletics, because they've got, not only do they have a great connection with the coaches, but they also have the easiest time slot to kind of get some of those coaches in, whereas with the Inside Drive and with the Afternoon Underdogs, a lot of those coaches are in the process of practicing or getting ready for games at those point in times. But if you're a coach and you're tuned in to the Afternoon Underdogs right now and you'd like to get some airtime with us, all you got to do is text us at 850-215-6290, and don't forget about the Inside Drive. We take the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley weekdays from 11 to 1. Chef Ross saying Banji on a Wednesday Eve. Yeah, we're switching things up a little bit with Tyler and Max not making it. Felt it was only right to go ahead and just let's dive into the nitty gritty with our guy Banji Bomadella. He is the sports reporter for the Panama City News Herald. Banji, my man, what is going on, bro?
Hey, David, how you doing? I feel like it's been a minute, but it hasn't. But how you doing?
I think it has been a minute, though. I wasn't with you guys last Wednesday, and shoot, I think it has been a minute since I've seen you.
It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, and maybe I think it's because we haven't seen each other in person, where you've been on the phone the last couple of times.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I'm glad to be back on a Tuesday. It feels special.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you absolutely are special, not only to us, but to all of those who read the Panama City News Herald, or if you're reading it online, what Banji does for these high school athletes, everyone who is involved in covering high school athletics here, or just youth sports in general, is very important to us here at ESPN Northwest Florida, and to all of those listening. Let's dive into the power rankings. Let's start with boys basketball here. What do you have the power rankings looking like here in the fourth week of high school basketball?
Yeah, so right now I'm going to start from 6 and go on up to 1. So at 6, I have Rutherford. You know, they're 2-6 on the season. They're on a 4-game losing streak right now, and the losing streak includes losses to North Bay Haven, Arnold, South Walton, and Mariana. And I feel like Coach Ross it's going to be an uphill battle for him. This might be one of the toughest coaching jobs he's going to have to do in his 20-year career at Rutherford. So I have those guys at number 6. Then moving on up to number 5, I have North Bay Haven. They're 2-5 on the season. They got a revenge win against Rutherford, I think yesterday or the day before. And they're showing some signs of promise, but that win over Rutherford yesterday gave one more bump over the Rams. And then at number 4, Bay, they're on a 2-game losing streak, and we saw what happened against Mosley. They couldn't get the job finished. They lost 47-45. I mean, in a season with the head coach in his first season with the team, they're right there at 500 right now, but they need some form of stability, something just to get these guys going in the right direction. They have a lot of good key pieces, but they still need time to figure it out. And then at number 3, I have Bozeman. Bozeman, who it was rocky in the middle of the season, or the middle of the start of the season. They were on a 3-game losing streak, but they've bounced back. They're currently 7-4, and they're on a 4-game win streak, and they just beat North Bay Haven 64-51 yesterday. And then at number 2, Arnold. Even though, yes, Arnold had a very huge loss to Mosley, they are still 6-2 on the season. And I believe that loss might be an aberration, because losing by 40 to Mosley is it's really unexplainable, especially after the highs that they've already had this season. Losing by 40, it's something you can't really explain. And then, of course, at number 1, I have Mosley, 6-3, big wins against Arnold and Bay yesterday. I mean, they are definitely one of the teams, if not the team, to beat this early in the season.
And Mosley and Bay got after it last night. You kind of alluded to that already. Mosley outlasting Bay for a 47-45 win. What were some of your takeaways? What stood out to you in that game from last night?
Something I was a big fan of was the three-point shooting and the physicalness from both teams. I mean, I love how everybody, once they get in the paint, it's not back towards the backboard, going to dribble, then try to force up a shot. It's no, I'm going to, draw in a defender and pass it out to an open three-point shooter, and more than likely it's going to go in. I like the defensive pressure that they were putting on each other, and I just love the overall quality of basketball that we saw last night was something I'm excited about because, if these two teams, which they might meet again, it's going to be another great one.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the other games that's on the schedule for the rest of this week, up until Friday, maybe even a Friday night game? What are some games that stand out to you? Maybe some games that we can drive our listeners to go check out for a fun Friday evening or a Thursday evening? What are some games that our listeners should go support?
So we have North Bay Haven. They're hosting Cornerstone Academy on Thursday. Cornerstone's 3-1, so it'll still be a very competitive game, I believe. And then Bay versus Bozeman on Friday. Bay is hosting Bozeman. They're 3-4 in my power ranking. It will be a good matchup. It'll be interesting to see, the key players on both teams, how they fare against each other because Bozeman's riding a hot streak right now. Bay, took that loss over there at Mosley, so that's going to be, I would say, the game to go to Friday night, Bay hosting Bozeman.
Bay versus Bozeman, man. We could be in store for a lot of action over there. Who are some players on the boys' side of basketball that have been standing out to you early in the season, Banji?
Yeah, I have a lot, actually. I think I might have 6 players. But
Mosley, go through them all. Give them some love.
Mosley's Isaiah Smith. At the point guard position, he's averaging 14 points and 5 rebounds. He was balling yesterday. He's a player that I didn't really have my radar on, but once I watched, I was like, this kid's pretty solid. And along with him, Eli McFadder. He's been doing it for years throughout Bay County. He averages 12.6 rebounds and 2 assists. Those 2 guys for Mosley, they're going to be the key contributors for how far Mosley can go this year. And then showing some love for Arnold, Chris Noble. 12.8 points, 9.8 rebounds. He's almost averaging a double-double, and he does it on the defensive end, averaging 2 steals and 2 blocks. And then Bozeman's Cash Zirkle, he actually leads the county in scoring with 16 points per game and 7 rebounds and 3 steals per game, which, showing you he can score, but he can also get on the boards and defend with those 3 steals per game.
Say that name one more time for me.
Cash Zirkle.
Dude, that's a perfect basketball name.
Yeah, Cash, literally Cash.
Yeah, like Cash buddy from anywhere, and then I'm gonna put you in a circle because my last name's Zirkle.
Straight cash, homie.
And then we have Bozeman's Jamie Hernandez. He's always been that guy with 13 points per game and 8 rebounds per game. And I can't forget Bay's point guard, Oliver Pratt. He's a workhorse, 13 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, a floor general, and just a general slasher. He does the job consistently for Bay.
That is some great stuff. With Chris Noble, did he transfer from Bay back to Arnold?
Yes. He told me
in the middle of the year you could do that?
Game, yeah, he told yes. You can. It's as confusing to me as it is to everyone else. But yes, he told me he wanted to finish out.
Alive and well.
Yes, he wanted to finish out the basketball season with Arnold. He's like, because he did it the year prior, because he was originally at Arnold in Arnold football before that ACL tear and all that. So yeah, he just says he wanted to finish it out.
Yeah, well, there you go, man. And so he's getting the best of both worlds there and back over there at Arnold and playing some good ball, especially on the defensive side of the floor. We'll move over to girls basketball, and that's what we'll kick off hour number 2 with as well. But let's go through the power rankings for girls basketball, Banji.
Yeah, so girls basketball, at number 6, I have Bozeman. They're winless on the season, 0-8, and they've been struggling with scoring. And it's we kind of hate the bad stats, but in 4 of the losses this season, they didn't reach double digits for the entire game. Ooh. So that's something that they're definitely going to have to go back to the drawing board and just figure things out with that. But at number 5, I have Mosley. They're currently 3-6. They had a huge loss against Bay the other night, and they're on a 2-game losing streak right now. And then at 4, I have Arnold. They're 4-4. They're on a 3-game win streak. They've kind of recovered things, and they had impressive wins over Port St. Joe, Bozeman, and Poplar Springs. At number 3, I have Bay. They're also 4-4. They got the huge win, the huge rivalry win against Mosley, so they're currently on the up and up. And then number 2, I have North Bay Haven. They're 3-1, and they kind of gotten a late start to their season. They started around maybe 2 weeks ago, December 5th, while everybody else started in like mid to early November. But they're currently 3-1. They've been rolling with wins over Mosley and most recently against Bozeman, and they have a lot of solid players, especially rebounding. North Bay Haven might be the best rebounding team in the county.
Let's go.
They have multiple girls in double digits for rebounding, so it's definitely impressive what they're doing over there. And at number 1, though, I still have Rutherford, 4-2. Their only losses on the season was at the holiday tournament where they lost to a team from Montgomery and a team from Norcross, Georgia. So nobody locally, nobody in the Panhandle can beat this Lady Rams team, but you got to go out of state, and then you might see some teams that could beat this Rutherford team.
Yeah, continuing their streak of dominance. I need to get an update on Shakira Edwards and how she's doing over there at Mississippi State in her freshman year. Obviously, Mississippi State always, not always, but tends to wreak some havoc in the sport of ladies college basketball. And, man, how that sport has boomed throughout the years, especially, with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and what they've left with. Now you got Paige Buckets and Juju Watkins over there at USC. But Banji, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll talk about some of the games in ladies basketball here in the high school area and some players who have been standing out to you. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. More from Banji, Bomadella, and high school athletics when we get back.
Just in time for the holidays and not by popular demand, Coach Hale sings his favorites. And who can forget?
To a burn ring of fire, down, 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 that flame red higher. It's that burn, that ring of fire.
Oh, plus this one. Coach James Hale, it's a good thing he knows sports because he doesn't sing worth a big show today. Big.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. The remainder of the day, partly cloudy skies and 74 with a very light wind. Tonight, a variety of slight fog and some clouds with lows around 64. Tomorrow, variety of some clouds and slight fog and a temperature near 71. Moving into Thursday, up the same with a high of 67 and slightly foggy in the early morning and then mostly sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
Northwest Florida's home for college football bowl games. WGSX Lynn, WPLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Powered by Panama City Toyota.
Do you hear a squealing sound when you're braking? How about a clunking when turning? Shaking while under acceleration? These are all problems that Alford Tire and Service Center in Callaway can solve. With our friendly staff and trusted mechanics, we here at Alford offer a wide variety of services to keep you on the road and driving, which comes back with our nationwide warranty and easy financing options. Located in beautiful Callaway on Central Parkway, we do it all at Alford Tire and Service Center.
From Tyndall Air Force Base to the Hathaway Bridge. We're live and local. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. This is ESPN Northwest 40, riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Caveman Rick, and the NFL plays here. But not only that, we've got a lot of college football coming your way. Friday is going to be so exciting because we're going to get you out there to the Gasparilla Bowl for Tulane in Florida. Then we've got the Indiana Notre Dame game, and then all 3 college football playoff games will be right here Saturday. But tonight, 8 p.m., we'll get it started with Memphis and West Virginia. Kickoff tonight at 8 p.m., which will mean it's going to be a little bit of a late night for me, as I got to make sure that we transition from that game back to the network properly. It's going to be our first run-in with bowl season radio this year. So going to be a lot of fun, though, that Memphis-West Virginia game. I'm excited about that. Text in right now, 850-215-6290. Who do you got winning that game? Memphis-West Virginia, as we're joined now by Banji Bomadella. He is the sports reporter for the Panama City News-Herald. Banji, who do you got in that bowl game tonight? You got Memphis or West Virginia?
I got Memphis. I definitely got Memphis.
That's where my initial lead was, or my initial lean was with the Memphis Tigers. But I think I'm going to go with the physical dominance of West Virginia and hope that they can pull out a bowl win. We'll see how it plays out, though. Should be a good game, and if it's fireworks, I do believe that you're correct. It'll end up being Memphis. We talked earlier about some of the boys basketball games that are can't miss for this coming week. We've got Thursday night, Cornerstone Charter Academy. They're going to be visiting North Bay Haven Academy, and that game will be, I believe, 7:30 on Thursday night. But then the other one on Friday is the one that Banji told us about, where you're going to have Bay and Bozeman over there at Bay High. Bozeman 7-4, Bay at 4-4, and that game will tip off at 7 p.m. Well, what about in girls high school basketball? Give us some games to look out for the rest of this week in girls high school basketball, Banji.
Well, if anybody could make it out to tonight, Bay girls versus Choctaw tonight, and then they also host Lincoln on Saturday. And then we also have the Buck Slam Jam tournament, which will be North Bay Haven hosting, and they'll be hosting Pace at 3 p.m., but also that same day, which is on Friday, also that same day, Rutherford plays Pace at 6 p.m. So the Buck Slam Jam tournament, I feel like maybe multiple teams will be in this tournament. Haven't really seen any other stuff, but Buck Slam Jam tournament this Friday at North Bay Haven. Go out and support.
And that starts with North Bay Haven kicking it off, or tipping it off at 1 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So you get an opportunity to watch North Bay Haven and Rutherford take on Pace at the North Bay Haven gym. How about some lady ballers who have been standing out to you here in the Panhandle?
Well, I got to start off with Bay's Brianna Peace. I mean, she's a power forward who averages 10 points and 15 rebounds per game. So, I mean, if the ball is anywhere near, if you miss, just get back on defense.
Yeah.
She's going to be there to get that rebound.
She's Angel Reeson.
And then, yeah. So, you know, there's also Rutherford's Kanala Hayes. She's a point guard who kind of taking shape or in replacement of Shakira Edwards. She's a point guard who's averaging 11.5 per game. She has an overall smooth game. I was able to watch her before and has the ability to shoot threes and also get in the paint and score. So she's also very commanding on the offense. And then also Mosley's Faith Alvarado. She's a guard who averages 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. She's silky, gets any shot she wants on the court, and she's been key for Mosley so far.
I love
and
that
finally,
adjective, silky. When you're talking about basketball,
yeah,
and you call somebody silky, that's just, that's smooth, Banji.
Because you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You know when you see a player and they're silky, yeah, exactly.
It's almost like KD in his earlier years, or which, I mean, John Morant's kind of a little bit more fidgety, but when someone's smooth, like KD at Texas, like Steph Curry shot from anywhere on the floor, that's just silky smooth, and it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. I mean, but me, my favorite player, Kyrie, one of the silkiest. One of the silkiest.
That's like milk chocolate, baby. Isn't there a brand of milk chocolate called Silky, I think, or Silk? I don't know, man.
Silk,
For some reason,
Silk,
yeah, Silk, yeah.
Silk milk.
Yes, sir, man. It's like a purple wrapper, purple and silver, I think.
Yeah.
We on the same page. We're on the same page. All right, what's another player to look out for?
And finally, North Bay Haven's Kaylee Goodpaster. You know, she's a Florida State commit
plays
for
basketball
softball,
too?
so- Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Plays basketball. Averages 15 and 7 with 5 steals also per game. So I mean, she who knows? Maybe she might get a girls basketball scholarship too. We never know.
Yeah, there you go, man. You're going to Florida State to play basketball and softball. How about that? That would be that would give Travis Hunter a run for his money. Girls and boys soccer. Last night we were going over the scores. Today in a game last night, McClay taking down the boys Arnold soccer team. Well, give us your power rankings. Let's start there. Power rankings for boys soccer.
Well, at 6, I have Bozeman. They're winless on the season. They've only scored 8 goals in 12 games, which, I mean, in soccer, that could work if, you drew the games, but they've been outscored plenty. So, Bozeman, we're hoping for some victories in the future. At 5, Bay, they're also winless on the season with 12 losses and only 1 draw. They've scored 10 goals in 13 games, so a little bit better than Bozeman, but we're still hoping for some victories for them there. At 4, we have Rutherford, which they had a great start to the season. I believe they won their first 3 games, and they're currently 4-5-1, so not too bad on the season.
We're talking boys soccer right now, right?
Boys soccer.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Olds. He's the soccer coach over there and doing a great job, man. 4-5-1. I believe that is over their win totals combined. I think they might have won 3 or 4 games last year, and the year prior to that they didn't win very many. So they that program's headed in the right direction. You'd love to see it.
Definitely. Most definitely. At 3, we have North Bay Haven, who has the same record as Rutherford, but when they played, the Bucks beat the Rams. But at 3, I have North Bay Haven. And then 2, I have Mosley. Mosley have 7 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. They had big wins versus Milton, Crestview, and the aforementioned North Bay Haven. And then finally, up top, Arnold, 4-1-2. I was there at the game yesterday against McClay. And when I tell you it was a good competitive game for 71 minutes, and then everything went to hell. Arnold got 2 red cards, so they were down to 9 men.
Oh.
And, so it was 9 versus 11. And then at the last minute of the game, McClay gets a rebound, a player shoots it in, and it's 1-0. When I tell you, it was heartbreak, man. It was heartbreak. But I mean,
did Gavlak just go quiet?
It wasn't. It was at the public sports bar.
Oh, it was at the public sport, huh?
Yeah, because the game wasn't even originally supposed to be scheduled because they couldn't find any refs. That's something that's another big thing. We have a referee shortage in Bay County and probably in the state of Florida as a whole. So they had to play it on Monday. They had to play it at a public sports park. And the referees just happened to be from Tallahassee, where McClay is. So,
Go home cooking on the road, huh?
Yeah, I saw a lot of fans talking with the refs after the game too, and I was like, they're a little too friendly with the refs. But
yeah,
hey,
watch them handshakes. High fives only, no handshakes. Tough loss, but Arnold can absolutely bounce back from that. The whole goal is just to get to the postseason, and the seasons that they've been having in the past, obviously indicative that they can bounce back from this lone loss on the season, 2 draws, not too shabby at all, and a whole new squad in place. So let's dive in. Who are some players that have been Actually, let me ask you this real quick, Banji. Did you cover soccer like this in Atlanta?
No, not really. No, it was basketball and football were the main attractions, but around here, soccer is king around here.
Are you falling in love with the sport a little bit more, that you're kind of learning more about the sport?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been like a soccer fan since maybe 2018, but I've been definitely keeping up. I watch every weekend I can. Whenever NBC is showing any Premier League soccer games, I'm watching. So
who's your Premier League team?
Oh, it's Liverpool.
Liverpool. Okay, if I had to pick a team, Chelsea. I really don't know how I picked that team, but I picked them when I was a little bit younger. I don't watch a ton of soccer, but boy, I tell you what, when it's World Cup time or when it's playoff soccer time around this area, it does not get much better than that. I'm loving your passion hearing you talk about soccer. That's why I had to ask, like, wait, has he been doing this for a long time, or is he just really good at, falling in love with sports? And I think that when we cover something that's kind of outside of our comfort zone, it's kind of, it's fun to fall in love with that sport.
Well, yeah, for sure.
All right, so what about some players on the boys' side of things that have been standing out in boys' high school soccer?
Speaking about how the emergence of Rutherford, they have a guy over there, Xavier Olds, 10 goals and an assist in 10 games. So, I mean, he's basically a goal a game kind of guy. He's doing it all for them. And then we have Arnold Deshaun Page. He has 6 goals and 3 assists on the season. He's one guy. He's electric when he has the ball. He's quick. He's silky once again. Like, he is the type of player you would want, especially leading that front line for Arnold. And then for North Bay Haven, we have Chase Reed. He has 5 goals and 6 assists on the season. And then rounding it out, we got Mosley's Enzo Velarde, 6 goals, 4 assists.
Wow, man, great numbers there. And we'll go to the power rankings for the girls here in a second. But from, I believe it's just from Mike, why were there 2 red cards in the Arnold McClay game?
Okay, so the first one, and I got to take off my bias glasses for Arnold. The first one, a defender, he tried to make a tackle to stop the guy from scoring. He did not get any of the ball. So he just got all of the defender, and it was a clear and obvious chance for the defender to get for the attacker to score a goal. So that's instantly a red card. There's nothing you can really do about it. It's like if in basketball when you just hack somebody to make them go to the free throw line instead of getting the shot off. It's just like that simple kind of foul where it's like, yeah. And then the second one was the controversial one because the Arnold's guy was on the attack and he was trying to fight off the defender. Both guys go tumbling down. They give a second yellow to the Arnold attacker, which then, means he's sent off, which is a red card. And everybody was questioning it. Everybody was just like, what? And then 3 minutes later, McClay scores. So it all felt a little shady, a little controversial.
Hey, there you go. We're going to try not to get fined here. I'm just kidding. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida on the line right now with Banji Bombadella. He's the sports reporter for the Panama City News Herald. We've done all the power rankings for all of the sports going on right now. Well, the major sports anyways, basketball, boys and girls basketball and boys and girls soccer, except for the girls side of things. So let's dive into that. Who are your top 6 teams in girls soccer here in Bay County?
At number 6, I have Bozeman. They haven't got a win similar to the boys team, but they're averaging giving up 5 goals a game. You can't really win with that unless you score 6. But hats off to the girls who go out there every week and every day, competing. At number 5, I have Rutherford. They're on a 6-game losing streak, but they're similar to Bozeman. They're trying to find their groove and get back in it. At number 4, Bay. Now Bay, it's a little shocking because at 4 and 5, they have the county's top goal scorer in Emily Rollins, but they just recently lost 4-0 to Arnold. I think maybe local teams have gotten the book on how Rollins plays, and they're doing everything they can to stop her. And, once you stop the county's top goal scorer, you kind of ask the other teammates to produce goals, and they might not be too equipped for that. So I have Bay at 4. And at number 3, I have Arnold. Big win, very big win against Bay, especially after they were on a 2-game losing streak to teams like North Bay Haven and Leon. And then at number 2, North Bay Haven. They're 6-4-1 on the season. They're on a 2-game win streak, but then got upended by Mosley the other night 4-0. So North Bay Haven's trying to bounce back, but I have them at number 2. They've been solid all year. And then finally, number 1, Mosley. 8 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. 2-game win streak, and they big wins against North Bay Haven, and Crestview.
There you go. And same question to kind of wrap up our high school wrap-up with Banji Bombadilla is, who are some of the players on the girls' side of soccer that have been standing out to you?
Of course, I got to start with Bay's Emily Rollins, the Eckerd signee, 14 goals, 5 assists in just 9 games. So, I mean, that's 19 goal contributions in 9 games. That's something that gets you signed to play at the college level. And then we have North Bay Haven's Everett Dent. She has 8 goals, 5 assists. And then also her teammate Dresden Conrad, 7 goals, 3 assists. And then rounding it out with Arnold's Natalie Tomasic, who has 6 goals, 10 assists. So she can do it both ways. She can help assist the goal or score herself. And then Kendall Sears, 6 goals, 4 assists.
Wow, man, that's a lot of action there going on in the world of soccer and basketball. And don't forget about, what do we have any soccer games that we should be circling on our calendar throughout this week?
Well, I would definitely say for boys, North Bay Haven hosts Freeport on Thursday night, and then Arnold hosts Florida High on Friday night. So it'd be good to see if Arnold can bounce back after that loss to McClay yesterday, this Friday versus Florida High.
Yeah, man, that is some good stuff. And as always, we appreciate what you do here for our local athletes in Bay County and beyond. Banji Bombadilla. We got the NBA Cup final tonight. Bucks or Thunder? Who you got in that game, Banji?
Oh, that's hard, man.
It is tough.
Because I believe the Thunder is the best team in the NBA to me.
Let's go.
I am one of the biggest Giannis fans, and the way Giannis is on an MVP run, but he's not going to win it because people are tired of 32, 12, and 5.
Yeah.
But, hey, that's just me. But, you know what? I got the Bucks. I think Dame is going to come along with Giannis tonight and help them get that win.
How have they been meshing as of late? Obviously, to get to the NBA Cup and possibly get $500 extra in their pocket, which to Giannis and Dame doesn't mean a whole lot, but for those guys who are 11th and 12th men on the roster, could be a nice pay raise, at least for the season, and then even for the losing team, each player gets $211,000 or something like that. But how have Dame and Giannis been meshing this year compared to last?
Definitely, I don't want to put all of it on Dame, but, I mean, Giannis, if you've seen, Giannis has been on the team averaging his typical 30 and 12 and all that. It was Dame where Dame would have off nights where you would just be like, if this was Portland Dame and this is prime Giannis that we have here, this team is unstoppable. But now that Dame is finally coming along, they also got the other pieces like the Bobby Portises. Some nights he streams in about 20 points. They have different guys like that, the Andre Jacksons. They're finally putting it all together. It's team basketball. That's what Giannis, I think, was saying in a post-game interview where he was just like, there's no hero ball. We all play for each other. And it's like that's what they needed because, granted, in the playoffs, it's going to have to be Giannis and Dame, Dame time. But right now, especially they went 4-0 or 6-0 in the Cup games. So they're definitely meshing right now. And it's going to be scary for the East.
Well, there's been some rumors in the NBA that the Lakers could possibly trade LeBron James. I don't know how serious I'm taking those rumors, but they are circulating, so I'll get your take on it. Do you think that the Lakers and the Warriors could come up? Do you think that they will? Do you think the Lakers would send LeBron James, and I believe Bronny would be a part of this as well, to the Warriors here in what could be the final year of LeBron James's career possibly?
No chance.
I like
no
that
chance.
answer.
You don't trade away the cash cow. You don't trade away the breadwinner. You don't. I don't care if it's year 50, LeBron. You don't trade him. You keep him until the wheels fall off.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I don't understand where those trade, maybe because people think Bron and Steph Curry want to play together, and maybe they do, but if you're the Lakers, I don't care who you want to play with. You're going to be playing for the LA Lakers, but again, we know LeBron can be the GM sometimes, and if he wants to get his way, maybe he could, but we'll see how it plays out. I foresee LeBron being with the Lakers for the rest of the year and possibly the rest of his career after they went ahead and did him a solid and drafted Bronny James, who has been elevated elevating his game in the G League, which is, I think...
Yeah.
Well, it's the G League, but I do think that that's a nice thing to see, is going from, averaging 4, 6, 8 points to now every now and again he's got 30, and I think it's a fun storyline for the NBA, and we're all a fan of storylines around here, ain't we?
Yeah, but I'll
keep it real. No, sir. Keep it real, Benji.
Okay. It's definitely nepotism, but I just think when I was watching March Madness, earlier this year,
right,
we saw a certain guy at NC State named DJ Burns.
Oh, yeah.
Big man. And we saw over the summer he lost weight, but now he's over there playing in Asia while Bronny got drafted off of 4 or 5, 6 games, game tape, so that's my gripe.
That's actually a great gripe. I know a lot of people aren't happy about it. Caveman Rick always voices his displeasure, and I see both sides of the fence of it very clearly. But that gripe right there in particular, I like that, because DJ Burns and what he did over there at North Carolina State, I wouldn't say single-handedly, but was a huge part of why North Carolina State and the Wolfpack was able to make the run that they did last year. And it's disheartening when those guys make those big runs in college basketball and they don't get they don't get drafted. They don't even get the opportunity for the G League, which then again, I guess if your choice is go play in Asia and make decent money, or play in the G League and not make very good money at all, then I guess you're going to be going overseas. But maybe he can play well enough to get back over here to the States and play in the league. DJ Burns was a lot of fun to watch last year. All right, let's see what else we got for you. A couple more questions. Give me an upset alert for college football playoff in the first round, for the college football playoff first round.
Ooh. Would it be an upset? Clemson beating Texas.
Yes,
I
that would be an
Clemson
upset.
Beating Texas.
All right.
Yeah,
and
Clemson
give me your lock for the college football playoff first round. That's a tough one.
It is a tough one because
you got Indiana, Notre Dame.
I could say Ohio State, but
that would be the toughest one to lock in, I feel.
Yeah. Dang.
Who you got out of SMU and Penn State?
I have SMU, actually. Is that an upset too or not?
Yeah. Hey, we're going to double down with upsets with Banji right now. Everyone on the bandwagon.
No, that's just me. Penn State sucks. Hey, but that's just me.
I like it, though. I like it. So you got Ohio State being, let's see. The other game is Indiana, Notre Dame. Who you got there?
I got Indiana.
Oh, that's another, by the numbers. By the numbers, that's an upset. You also got Clemson, so really it just comes down to Ohio State, Tennessee, and I feel like that's a coin flip game for me personally. I think the numbers are in favor.
You put that much stock in Tennessee?
What's that?
You put that much stock into Tennessee?
Oh, no, I'm just saying that the numbers favor Ohio State in the game against Tennessee. So, that would be, if you're picking Ohio State, that would be your lock. But you could also lock in one of your upsets. If you feel that strongly about SMU over Penn State, let's call that your lock.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Let's
All right, hey, that's the lock. Hey, Benji, as always, so much fun having you on and just kind of going across the world of sports and specifically the high school athletics here in Bay County. You do such a wonderful job, and I know so many people across this area appreciate what you do for the athletes in this area.
Man, thank y'all, man. It's been a pleasure, especially with my year. It's about to be my year anniversary coming up in January. It's been a pleasure.
Oh man, we're gonna have to throw you a little party on behalf of the News Herald just because of all of the great insight that you give us here on the Afternoon Underdogs. Banji, take care. Merry Christmas, my man. We'll be off all next week.
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas.
All right, that's Banji Bombadella. He is the sports reporter for the Panama City News Herald. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we're going to have our good buddy, hopefully, Lord willing, Tyler Bishop, Swaggy T, on the line with the Afternoon Underdogs, talking more of that college football playoff. If you got any questions, send them in, 850-215-6290.
ESPN Northwest Florida is taking you on the ultimate road trip to see the Orlando Magic. It's the Hall and Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida Magic Express. You'll watch the game from a presidential suite loaded with free food and beverages. To win your trip on the Magic Express, download the ESPN Northwest Florida app and keep listening for more details. Sponsored by Hall and Hearts.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, a variety of some clouds and slight fog and a low of 64 with wind 1 to 5 miles per hour. A variety of slight fog and mostly clouds tomorrow morning and very warm near 70. A mixture of light sprinkles and partly cloudy skies and 71 in the afternoon and evening. 67 and mostly sunshine Thursday. This is your Tuesday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
Panama City Beach Winery. Since 2003, a unique award-winning wine tasting experience right here in Panama City Beach. Our wines are crafted 100% from premium fruit, citrus, and berries with no added sugars, flavorings, or grapes. Delivering the true flavors of tropical Florida in every bottle. Panama City Beach Winery proudly offers free wine tastings every day. Plus, you'll love the gift shop. Wine slushies and our private events are unforgettable. Panama City Beach Winery at the corner of Joan Avenue and Thomas Drive.
Hi, this is Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs. Listen for select Orlando Magic games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to my boy David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs.
Thank you, Mr. Suggs. We will get back to Orlando Magic game after we get through this college football bowl season. And don't forget, we're going to have a game tonight at 8 p.m. I believe that will actually be our first bowl game that we've played this season. It'll be Memphis versus West Virginia. Kickoff tonight at 8 p.m. So make sure that you're tuned in and locked in for the Tigers versus the Mountaineers. Should be a good game. Also, some breaking news. Mike Vick has taken the job not at Sacramento State. He's going to be there at Norfolk State, up there in, I believe, Virginia area. So, yeah.
Chesapeake Bay area, Norfolk, Virginia, yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's Mike Vick's going to be, kind of paying his dues a little bit. And
I mean, that's his background, Law Tech, Virginia. So, I mean, it's,
I love it,
There's a lot of people out there that are kind of displeased with it, though, because it was passed, unfortunately.
Well, again, second chances, man. I understand that people love their dogs, and they should. But, it's one of those things. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I mean, he's already got his second chance. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? When he was with the Philadelphia Eagles after he did his jail time.
Did he do something wrong after that?
No.
That's what I'm saying. He got his second chance, and he proved, and he did right by that.
Right. So, I mean, this is why I wouldn't call it a second chance. He already got it. This is just more like
no, 100%. I guess what I was saying is he's already proven he's listen. He messed up. He was in the middle of something he should not have been, and we can all agree on that. But there's also people who have done things that they should not have done, and we say, hey, you know what? Here's your opportunity to make it right, and I think he's done that with working with dogs, and it's despicable. It's disgusting what he did, what he allowed on his property. There's no question there. I'm not standing up for that by any stretch of the imagination, but I am a big fan of second chances, third chance. I think we're human beings, and we need to extend those to each other. And so I'm excited for Mike Vick and what his journey is going to look like there at Norfolk State, and where it could take him after this particular job, or we'll see how he does as a head coach. We've got our prognosticator of college football on the line with us, dealing with a little bit of a stomach bug, Tyler Bishop. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's going on, Tyler?
What's going on, Big Dave? How we doing today, guys?
We're doing well, a little bit better than you, I would imagine. But what do you think of the hire by Norfolk State getting Mike Vick?
I mean, if you're Norfolk State, I mean, kind of what y'all were saying, y'all weren't even 100% sure where Norfolk State is located. So, for Norfolk State, this is hiring a guy like Michael Vick. It's kind of, I think a lot of these smaller schools have seen what Dion has done from a name, kind of NIL standpoint, a name, image, likeness, standpoint, and how can we bring that kind of hype to our program? We've seen a guy like Eddie George win at I think it was HBCU title this year, or make the playoffs or whatever it was.
Tennessee
We're seeing some of these former guys get into the market or the coaching profession and kind of watching them progress. And like you said, it brings a program like Norfolk State, like Jackson State, like some of these smaller programs that nobody else would. Well, we wouldn't be talking about Norfolk State today, right? If it wasn't for Mike Vick,
right?
And that's the point. There's no such thing as bad publicity type deal, and I mean, it's good for them. And if these guys end up being worthwhile coaches, they'll be there for a while and move up, kind of like we've seen Deion do. And if not, then they'll be gone and they'll try something else.
Yeah, no, that's a great point and a great prognostication there by Tyler Bishop. Your thoughts on tonight's game, airing right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Kickoff at 8 p.m. Memphis is a 6-point favorite. Who you got, Memphis or West Virginia?
I mean, these are tough bowl games. West Virginia doesn't have a head coach. Well, they just hired Rich Rod, so I don't know how involved he's doing any of the game planning or decision. So it's always hard to pick against teams that have fired their head coach going into the bowl game. So I'll take Memphis in a close one, but I don't feel it. But honestly, I couldn't tell you how the portal has gone for either of those teams. It's been a lot going on in the portal world, and the calendar is just so messed up and screwed up right now for them. But at least they're playing the bowl game, right? We're not seeing it like Marshall where they opted out as a whole team from their bowl game against Army because of the situation going on with their coach and how many guys they had enter the portal immediately after that. But I'll take Memphis in a close one. But it'll be interesting to see going forward how the Rich Rod 2.0 does up there in Morgantown.
I'm going to be jumping around here a little bit. I did have a order of the questions that I had for you today, but I'm going to jump around because we were talking with Banji and we were going through his upsets and lock for the first round of the college football playoff, and his lock is actually going to be SMU over Penn State, and his upset is going to be Clemson over Texas. But we got into the Tennessee-Ohio State game just a tad bit there, and we got a text in from Eric with an A. He says, I'll give you the reason that Tennessee is a lock over Ohio State. Ohio State's missing 3 starting O-linemen. Tennessee's got a defensive line that most likely all of them are going to play in the NFL. He says, lock that up for me. How do you feel about Tennessee being a lock over Ohio State in a game that, to me, I think is the most coin flippy of them all?
I mean, I don't hate his takes. I mean, they are missing their left tackle. They're missing their starting center. I was not aware of a third one, but I'll take his word for it on that one.
Great take.
But, I mean, Tennessee's defensive line all year was considered one of the best in the SEC, if not all of college football. But my biggest concern is the coaching aspect for both sides. We've got Ryan Day, traditionally, who has not fared well in some of these bigger games, and we've got Josh Heupel, who, if we're being honest, hasn't coached in a ton of big games. He's had a couple big games versus Bama, a couple big games versus Georgia, but he's struggled on the road. We've seen it almost every year in the Josh Heupel era that in the SEC, they lost on the road at South Carolina a couple years back when they were a playoff contender. They lost to Florida last year on the road. They've lost to Georgia a few times on the road, which is not quite the same loss as some of those other ones, but they lost to Arkansas this year on the road. Yeah, so this is a Josh Heupel team that, I mean, he just has not fared well on the road, and now you're talking one of the biggest stages in all of college football in the shoe there, but there's been rumors on the internet and all that kind of good stuff of a Tennessee takeover type deal, seeing a bunch of orange in the shoe. Allegedly, a lot of their fans are trying to buy up a ton of those tickets. So maybe they can negate some of that home field advantage a bit. But it's a game I don't really love. Like I think if it was a neutral site, I'd feel a lot better picking Tennessee than on the road. But it's just, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think Josh Heupel's done a fantastic job turning around that Tennessee program from where they were in the Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt, and even going back to the Derek Dooley days. It's a program that was down bad after some great runs in the 90s. And he's done a fantastic job turning them around, but I don't trust either of these coaches kind of in the situation that they're in, Heupel being on the road and Day just being a big game in general. But and I don't hate, like I said, from a strictly football point, I think Tennessee is the better team. So can they transit? But they've been the better team on the road before and haven't played up to that potential.
Yeah, no, great points and great takes as always. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We got Tyler Bishop on the line. Tyler, what is your upset pick in the first round of the CFP?
I think the best chance at an upset is going to be over there in the Indiana Bowl. I think Indiana taking down Notre Dame. If Indiana can jump on them early, Notre Dame's not a team that's built to come from behind.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if we're being honest, like, Notre Dame hasn't been tested a whole lot this year. They had the good win week 1 against Texas A&M, which turned out to be an 8-4 Texas A&M team, which is respectable, but not anything special. I mean, they were lucky to get out of that UFC game with a win. They had 2 99-yard pick sixes in that game, so you're talking a 20-point swing right there, and they won that game by a narrow margin. So it would not surprise me at all if the Fighting Hoosiers came out, and it being an in-state game, I think it's a little bit different for both the teams. Obviously, Indiana being the little brother when it comes to football. But I think Notre Dame is one of those teams that everybody's wanting to give a lot of credit to, but their schedule isn't really any better than a lot of the other teams. They don't have a big signature win, and I think people are just kind of letting them slide because of the logo or lack thereof on the helmet and just being like, it's Notre Dame, they'll be okay. But when was the last time Notre Dame won a game of this magnitude?
Yeah. That's a wonderful point, and we've seen that quite often.
I was going to say the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I don't think they've won a New Year's Six type game since at least at one point it was since 1994. I don't think they've really won since then. I know that's kind of been Marcus Freeman's biggest notch on him. Is I think they even had a pretty big lead in a New Year's Six game a year or two ago. It ended up blowing a 2-touchdown lead, I think, to kind of perpetuate that narrative that they can't win some of these bigger bowl games.
Yeah. Great point there. Let's go to your lock. Who is Tyler Bishop's lock in the first round?
My lock would probably be Texas over Clemson. I think Texas' defensive line, offensive line is going to be too good for Clemson. I think this is a Clemson team that they started out pretty quick against SMU, and then they faded down the stretch there. They were lucky to hold on to that game and, won it in a pretty dramatic fashion there at the end of that ACC championship game. But they got blown out by Louisville. They got blown out by Georgia, and I think they kind of made they lost, lost to South Carolina the last week of the season as well. I think this is a team that has kind of coasted against some of the worser teams on their schedule and hasn't been able to come up big against some of the better teams on their schedule. And I think, especially being at home, I think Texas wins that one fairly comfortably.
All right, let's go to the coaching over there in Indiana Notre Dame, the game that you've got picked for the upset pick, your upset pick for the first round. Who does the advantage go to on the coaching staff? Does it go to Curt Cignetti, or does it go to Coach Freeman over there at Notre Dame?
Ooh, man, it's tough because I like the fact that Freeman has been in this spot before. I mean, even though they've lost and they have been in some of these bigger games, you've got probably a coaching staff and a squad there in Indiana. I'd have to go through every individual player and coach to know a little bit better, but I can't imagine any of those coaches or players have really been in a game of this magnitude. Not that Notre Dame coaches have been in the playoff, but they've been in some of these bigger New Year's Six Bowl type games. They played Ohio State last year. And I know Indiana played them this year, but I think they've got a little bit better experience in the big games that would lead you to think that. But I think there's something about just Cignetti's personality and his fire that gets his coaches and his teams believing in him, and that's why they're 11-1. Yeah, their schedule wasn't as good as some of the others, but I'm going to give the edge to Cignetti just because he hasn't given me reason to doubt him. I think Freeman has. And maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on Freeman here and kind of lumping him in with Notre Dame as a whole for the last 20 years, but it's almost like I have less information about Cignetti, so I'm going to err on the side of him having kind of the higher ceiling as opposed to knowing a little bit more than Freeman.
I like that great prognostication there from Tyler Bishop. I know that you've picked Texas as your lock for the first round, but who do you think has the better shot at the upset? Is that going to be Clemson at 3 o'clock on Saturday against Texas, or SMU to get the game, the day started Saturday versus Penn State?
I'll give it SMU. It's a kind of a scrappy program, and I think it's kind of similar to the Notre Dame game in an extent. I don't think Penn State's a team that wants to try to come back from behind either. If SMU kind of showed against Clemson that they'll hang around, they'll keep fighting, keep scrapping, and they'll work their way back from, I think it was a 21-0 deficit in that game. Mm-hmm. But and especially with Penn State's backup quarterback, he was kind of their dual threat, change of pace quarterback going in the portal, which is just part of the awful scheduling going on in college football as a whole. With him going in there, how does that affect Penn State's offense? If Aller were to go down, now they're going to a third-string guy instead of a second-string guy also. But I don't feel super comfortable picking SMU, but between SMU and Clemson, I like their chance a lot better.
Which quarterback needs a bigger game in the Tennessee-Ohio State game? Is it going to be Nico, or is it going to be Will Howard? Who needs the bigger game for his team to come out on top and move to the second round?
I think it's got to be Will Howard. I think if you're Tennessee, you want Dylan Sampson to carry the load. So if you're having to rely on Nico, you're probably not feeling super confident. Tennessee's D-line is, like I said, probably one of the better ones in the country. So I think they can negate Ohio State's running the game to an extent. I mean, you got Jeremiah Smith and some of the other wide receivers out there in Ohio State. Tennessee's secondary can be had. We saw it in the Georgia game. We've seen it at other times this year. Like, if you want to exploit Tennessee, I think the secondary is probably where you want to do it, and not against that front seven. And this is kind of why Will Howard came to Ohio State, right? They didn't bring him in to not win the Big 12, not beat Michigan, or Big 10, not beat Michigan, and not win a playoff game. This is why they brought him in, right? To do one of these things, and he hadn't done any of them so far. So I mean, granted, he's gone next year anyway, but he's not going to go down as Ohio State legend unless he wins it all. But it would have to go down as one of the most uninspiring transfer portal quarterback signings in it for a team that had the expectations that they did.
All right, well, let's get your score predictions for the entire first round, and we'll go over those the next time that we have you in the studio with us. The 10 seed Indiana versus number 7 Notre Dame, your score prediction for the 7 o'clock game on Friday night that can be heard right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
I'm going to go, I'll say 27-24 Notre Dame. I think Indiana has a shot to win it late, but doesn't quite pull it out.
All right, we'll move to the first game on Saturday. That's going to be SMU and Penn State. SMU, the 11 seed, Penn State, the 6 seed.
I'm going to say 31-17 SMU. I talked myself into it.
I like that.
I talked myself into it.
Oh, man. How do you feel about that score? 31-17 SMU, Caveman Rick.
I think that's a pretty high-scoring game.
Yeah, man, we'll have to see. I like the confidence there that Tyler came with as we move to the Clemson-Texas game, which is Tyler's lock for the first round. What do you got in that for that score?
I'm going to say 27-13 Texas.
All right, and then the final game, 27-13 Texas, right?
Yep.
All right, and then the final game is going to be that Tennessee-Ohio State game, the 9 seed versus the 8 seed in Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State 7.5-point favorite. What do you have the score prediction for this game being?
Oh, man, Ohio State being a 7.5-point favorite just seems like easy money. Like I think they could win, but I don't see them winning by more than a touchdown. But if I was having to bet money on it right now, I'm going to go, I'll say 21-24 Tennessee on the road there.
All right, man. So we've got some two competitive games, and then 2 not so competitive games. We'll see how they all play out. Tyler, I know you're looking forward to watching them and seeing who your dogs are going to be taking on in the next round at a neutral site. But thank you so much for your time, and we hope that you get to feeling better, my friend.
Hey, man, yeah, always, man. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Tyler Bishop, ladies and gentlemen, that is your Afternoon Underdogs college football prognosticator, Tyler Bishop, also known as Swaggy T when you see him around CFA. It's David Hayes at Caveman Rick. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we'll hit you with some local scores and catch up on some of the headlines that we might have missed.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
We're up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Hurricane Helene.
And breaking weather as it happens.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, a variety of some clouds and slight fog and a low of 64 with wind 1 to 5 miles per hour. A variety of slight fog and mostly clouds tomorrow morning and very warm near 70. A mixture of light sprinkles and partly cloudy skies and 71 in the afternoon and evening. 67 and mostly sunshine Thursday. This is your Tuesday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
It's the Season of New Traditions sales event going on now at Bill Bird Kia. Now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months of the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento or a new 2025 Kia Sportage. Take your next holiday adventure in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 105 East 15th Street, or anytime at BillbirdKiaPanamaCity.com.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento or new 2025 Kia Sportage with $1,748 per month per 1,000 financed in 60 months. Quantity is limited, not to be combined with other finance offers and not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billbird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 1/2/25.
Who is hired? Who is fired? Trades, drafts, and playoffs. We're talking about it.
That trade, when it was made, was the right trade.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We've got a huge week lined up for you. Tonight at 8 p.m., we've got West Virginia taking on Memphis in the Frisco Bowl. Then tomorrow night, we're going to get you probably second quarter action. We're going to join in progress with the Western Kentucky James Madison game in the Boca Raton Bowl. Then we'll have the California versus UNLV game following that. Thursday night, we'll get back to some NFL. We've got the Broncos and the Chargers. And then Friday, we'll have the Coach James Hill Show. Then we'll have the Inside Drive. And then it'll be Florida and Tulane kicking off at 2:30. And then the moment we've been waiting for a while, the first game of the college football playoff in the first round is Indiana at Notre Dame. Coverage starting at 6:30 for a 7 p.m. kick. Should be a lot of fun, and we cannot wait for it this way. Caveman Rick, let's dive into some local, and then I want to get your thoughts on your upset and your lock for the first round of the college football playoff. I know you'll be here tomorrow with us. I need to come up with some picks and send them out. I've really fallen behind on that. My life's been like a little bit of a Bayhigh tornado type deal where it's been a little wild, but we're making
it is what it is, man. It's all good. It ain't gonna hurt none.
Is Walton High School head football coach Keith White has announced his retirement. He did that yesterday night. He led Walton for the last 4 seasons, finished up with a 34-11 overall record, 4 playoff appearances, and 2 playoff victories, and they'll be on the hunt for a new head coach. In boys high school basketball, you had Mosley squeaking out a win over Bay 47-45, North Bay Haven losing to Bozeman 64-51, and then Port St. Joe clobbering Covenant Christian 67-20. You want to take those girls' scores?
I don't even have it ready.
Oh,
man.
I got you. I got no worries. Okay. North Bay Haven and girls basketball last night beat Bozeman 44-27. Arnold over Poplar Springs 37-23, and Mariana topped Bethlehem 44-31. In high school soccer on the boys' side of things, you got that?
Yeah, I got it now. McClay beats Arnold 1-0. We talked about that earlier. Ouch, Arnold's a pretty good team. South Walton over Bay 3-0. We got Mosley taking down North Bay Haven 1-0, and Bozeman losing to Navarre 8-0.
All right. And
you want me to do the girls' soccer?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. High school girls' soccer, North Bay Haven loses to Mosley in a close one, 2-1. Freeport taking down Rutherford 3-0, and a high-scoring game, Niceville beating Fort Walton Beach 8-0.
All right, well, let's dive into our upsets and locks. And if you'd like to send yours in, 850-215-6290. Send me your upset and lock for the first round of the college football playoff. We're going to kick it off here with the 10 seed and the 7 seed. Indiana traveling to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 7-point favorite. The total sitting there at 51.5. Should be a lot of fun. Just the excitement of a playoff game being hosted at Notre Dame, at any school's house, but the inaugural one happening over here at Notre Dame in an in-state game between Indiana and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 7-point favorite. The total sitting at 51.5. Well, we're not picking the game, so I don't know why I'm drawing it out like this. Who is your upset of the 4 games in the first round? Caveman Rick, who is your upset in that first round?
Well, real quick, before I give you that, let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
You just brought this up about Notre Dame. Do you think they'd set this up this way, that Notre Dame gets the first home playoff game ever? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a big deal. It's obviously going to be like a trivia question in the future, kind of thing, you know. And just because of the brand and what have you, the venue, I don't know if, like, I hate to say it's contrived and, like, something like that.
Oh, it's entertainment. We talk about these things all the time.
It's a TV show, right?
It is.
So
not just that, but yes, I think that there's an element there. I think the best game of the four is Tennessee, Ohio State. So you save that for your main event. Right?
Yeah.
But if you want,
or your headliner.
Yeah. I also think that you want to kickstart things with a game that has got a lot of intrigue to it. What better way to do that than an in-state rivalry between, or not necessarily a rivalry, but an in-state game between Indiana and Notre Dame, a team that not a lot of people believe in Notre Dame for the loss to Northern Illinois. A lot of people will say, well, who have they really beat? And there is truth, there is merit to that. There's also teams that they have beaten. You know, if you got Texas A&M on your schedule and you took care of business against them, boom, but then the very next week you drop to Northern Illinois, which causes all of the interrogative questions surrounding Notre Dame and the Fighting Irish. Yes, I think that they set this game up. I think for the entertainment factor of it, I think that it was the second best game out there, and why not get your Friday night started off with a little Indiana and Notre Dame? It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for me, I think my upset is in this one. I think I'm going to take Indiana over Notre Dame in this one.
John Moore is taking Notre Dame as a lock. He says SMU has the best chance of an upset, but he's hoping that the Nittany Lions pull it out, I believe was what the rest of that said. Yeah, hoping that his Nittany Lions, not just his Nittany Lions, pull out the W against SMU. I think that's one of the games that's got the most intrigue for me, is a team that I've been high on all year, SMU. Going into the year, I had their record at 11-1. That's what they finished up at. I did not have them in the ACC championship. I was also really high on North Carolina coming into the season, and that fizzled out very early on into the season. So,
and look where they're at now.
Yeah, well, they've got Bill Belichick, so maybe I'll be a little bit lower on them next year, just going into the season, and they'll do better next year. But we'll see how it plays out. SMU Penn State, to me, just for the upset intrigue, is one of my favorite games on the docket. But when it comes to which team that, man, if I've got to pick, or my upset of the week, I'm not going to go with Tennessee, Ohio State, because regardless of that spread sitting there at 7.5, I really do feel like that game should be closer to 3.5. I think Tennessee, honestly, I think Tennessee's going to win that game, but it's more of a coin flip type game for me. It's even on both sides. I say Ohio State's got the better offense, but in the trenches, especially when you talk about the injuries to Ohio State, that Tennessee's got a little bit of an edge there, and I think that's a huge edge when you're talking about what does it take to win ball games, and that is being a beast in the trenches. And I think Tennessee has the ADV, the advantage right there. I'm going to say of the best chances to have an upset, and the problem with this is I'm picking Notre Dame. I'm picking Notre Dame in the game, but I think that Indiana has the best chance for an upset. So it's kind of escaping the rules a little bit. Who was your upset again?
Same thing. It was Indiana in that game. Yeah, because like I said, I think it's a good matchup for them. Being that, like I said, Notre Dame usually has an issue with getting more stellar talent because of the academic situation.
Yeah, see, and that's hard for me too, because now I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, I truly do believe Notre Dame is going to win the game. But if there's a team that I'm rooting for, it's Indiana against Notre Dame. So I think that my thoughts here are not necessarily that I think Indiana will upset, because I don't. I think Notre Dame's going to win the game, but I won't Indiana to upset Notre Dame. So I'm going to take that back then. Since yours is Indiana, I'm going to go with Clemson. Clemson's got, all right, they willed their way. They looked terrible in the final week against South Carolina, but then they found a way to put up points early against SMU, kind of a weaker defense, and then they give up the ghost only to find themselves with a little bit more time than they imagined to have on the clock in that final quarter, and then boot a 56-yarder to win the game. Momentum's on their side. Now, there's also a huge chip on the shoulder of Quinn Ewers and the Texas Longhorns, who have suffered 2 losses, both at the hands of the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm going to say Clemson is I think Texas wins the game, but I'm going to make that my upset pick of the week is going to be Clemson over Texas.
Right on. That sounds fair. I'm actually picking Texas to be my lock of the week. I think, I think beating Clemson should be pretty sound, especially having a time off. Sark, it's at home, too, for Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to bode well. Seems like, no matter what, they're going to get the benefit of playing at home. So even if it comes down to being a close game, I think that'll ultimately be the deciding factor.
All right. Now I'm stuck between two teams really here. I think Notre Dame is I really feel the strongest about them winning their first round game. And I go back and forth with Tennessee and Ohio State, and I've said, 3 or 4 times today, I think that's an evenly matched game. So I'm stuck here thinking about taking Tennessee, not as my upset of the week, even though they're 7.5. Yeah, but as a lock.
Really? I think Ohio State, I don't think they're going to lose a first-round game. It's Ohio State. You know what I mean?
Oh, man, but just imagine all of the and this isn't why I'm picking Tennessee.
And it's in the shoe, and it's like Tennessee's having to travel, the weather probably.
Where did Michigan win that game at this year?
I feel you.
Yeah.
But again, that was Michigan in a big-time rivalry game where they have to win. This is Tennessee, man.
Ohio State's offense is not as potent as what people want to make it out to be. Will Howard has been... It was laughable to me when we found out last year that Will Howard was going to be the quarterback of Ohio State. Like, I would have probably went with the young gun, and there's some bias here with Alabama, but Julian Sayin, who looks like he's going to be the incumbent quarterback or the quarterback for 2025. I'm going to take Tennessee as my lock of the week, being a 7.5-point dog, but I think Tennessee is going to bully them up front, especially when Ohio State's on offense. Now, and if Chip Kelly does not get those backs, if they're going to try to attack the interior of the defensive line of the Tennessee Volunteers, it's not going to bode well for them. It's going to be a long day for them, and Tennessee's also going to be able to run the ball on Ohio State. Does Ohio State have a good defense, especially up front? Yes, they do. They're really good on the back end as well, but I'm going to take Tennessee to be my lock, even as a dog. Now, what game are you looking forward to the most from the first round of the college football playoff?
Probably the Penn State SMU game. I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to go, see how James Franklin does in a big-time game, to see if he kind of does what he normally does and somehow finds a way to screw it up. SMU's got a lot of firepower too. See if a smaller school like that that was prominent 30-something years ago can kind of make their way back and be a little bit more prominent again. It's in Happy Valley too. Penn State having the home field advantage. I gotta look at the time. I'm not sure. Is that a late game, maybe a whiteout?
Which game? Penn State? It's 11 a.m.
11 a.m. So they're not going to have the benefit of doing that. But I can still think that Penn State's got a good opportunity to have a good showing because of the crowd there.
100%. Rob Johnson texted in, says nothing wrong with picking the Vols. He also said his oldest daughter graduated from FAMU on Saturday. She graduated from Rutherford back in 2020. So shout out to Rob Johnson's oldest daughter. And James Kelly says SMU is a lock. Franklin chokes again. If Day loses to Tennessee, he will be fired. And our final piece of breaking news on this afternoon, Pinellas County votes in favor of financing the new Rays ballpark, and that will keep the team in St. Petersburg, not Tampa, but St. Petersburg for another 30 years. They will be playing their games in 2025 in Tampa at Steinbrenner Stadium. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. For Caveman Rick, I'm David Hayes. This has been the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 4. Coach James Hale Show will be live at 7 in the morning. Just remember, Jesus loves you, so do I. Go Team Dynasty.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Albeit it's not your vintage Aaron Rodgers, he's averaging less than 5 yards a pass. These statistics, if you apply them to previous